a story told once that a rabbi was asked, why is it that in the old days God was revealed all the time? Why is it in the ancient days God was seen all the time? But today, nowadays, we don't see God at all. God was seen all the time in the old days, but today, God is not seen anywhere. And the rabbi responded and said, it is because no one bows low enough to see God. In these days, no one is willing to bow low enough to see God. Have you seen God today? Have you seen God this week? How about this month, this year? And where have you seen God? Perhaps maybe if we have not seen God, we're looking in all the wrong places. Perhaps maybe the God that we see is the one that we see in the mirror each morning. And what if God is the man or the woman standing on the street corner begging for food, begging for money? What if that's God at the corner store trying to make a deal so that he can have his moments of joy? What if God is the person or the individual that we have been ignoring? What if we pass God this morning on our way here to church and we've chosen to look the other way? Where have you seen God today? Or where have you seen God lately? Our passage today talks of a God who emptied himself and became one of us so that we can become like him. This God bowed low enough to the point where there is no place we can go where God has not already been. The church in Philippi apparently thought so highly of themselves, too highly that there was no way that they could be wrong. They each thought that they were better than the other, that no one was willing to bow low. No one was willing to concede. Everyone thought that they were right. So Paul is writing to the church in Philippi, and he calls the church to act like Christians and to become unified, to become united, to be united not in self-righteousness, but to be united in humility, to be united in love as a Christian community, to be of the same mind and to avoid selfish ambition and conceit. Consider others more significant than themselves, to put others' interests above their own, to emulate the humility, the selflessness of Jesus in our relationships with one another, reflecting love and reflecting the grace of God. To empty ourselves of pride, of self-importance. Self-emptying is indeed a radical call, a radical concept, especially in the world that often promotes the I, that often promotes the self-centeredness and individualism. In a world that often celebrates power and status, called here to embrace a different way. We're called to bear witness to the transformative power of God's love and servanthood, just as Jesus did. We're called to set aside our own agendas and seek opportunities to serve others and to uplift others, showing compassion to the marginalized, the oppressed, and the forgotten. Imagine a world each of us considered others' needs before our very own, where we consider others' opinions and well-being as more significant than our very own. Emptying ourselves does not diminish who we are. Instead, it elevates our humanity, and it's an acknowledgement that in the act of selflessness, we find our true selves. It's about embracing empathy and recognizing the inherent worth of every single individual that we encounter in the world. When we empty ourselves of pride, of selfishness, we make room for understanding. We make room for kindness. We make room for compassion towards others. Self-emptying is not a sign of weakness, but rather it is a mark of spiritual maturity, where our fulfillment and our humanity is found in Christ and in Christ alone. The rabbi story teaches us that God reveals God's self to us daily, but we must bow low enough in humility to notice. We must be willing to empty ourselves of worldly desires in order that we can see God.